This is the new Hyundai Insta. Now it's not Insta as in Instagram, it's Insta as in... I think a bird's about to pull my head. No, as in... Actually, I don't know what. Anyway, it's a smallish electric car that's supposed to be compact on the outside, yet spacious on the inside, and reasonably affordable, well, by electric car standards anyway. It's a competitor to the Citroën C3 and the Renault 5, but it combines the practicality of the Citroën with the cool, interesting looks of the Renault. But neither of those cars can do this. So if I pull up on this lever here, I can fold the front seats down flat, and then look, I've created this load bed. All I need now is an inflatable mattress, and I can turn this little car into the world's smallest camper van. But there's no time to rest, because we need to find out if this car is actually any good or just a load of gimmicks. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Car Wow. The Insta is quite a distinctive looking car. Unfortunately, the one I have here is in black. It looks way more interesting in any other colour. Look at this. See what I mean? Now here at the front, it's quite unique. So turn the headlights on so you can see the headlights. There's your daytime running lights. There's your main headlamp. So you might be wondering what the heck these bits are for. So put on the hazard lights. It's the indicators and hazard lights. It's interesting. You can turn those off now. So you might also be wondering what this is. Is it like part of the ADAS radar system? No, look, it is in fact the charging port cover. I'm not sure whether I like it there. Other than that though, it's quite a cute looking car, isn't it? Do you know what, from the side, I'm getting vibes of the Suzuki Ignis, just slightly more inflated. Speaking of which, you have these bulbous wheel arches, which I kind of like. I'm less keen on the fact that the entry-level version just comes with 15-inch alloy wheels. Then the next level up, the 2, which this car is, then jumps to 17-inch alloys. These are much nicer, and they're diamond cut as well. Now, the entry-level car doesn't have the roof bars. You'll need the 2 if you want these, and they suit the car. What I don't like so much though is the position of the door handle. It kind of makes the door itself look cleaner, but it just doesn't feel very nice. It's very flimsy plastic, and I don't like having that angle to open the door for some reason. I don't know, maybe I'm just old-fashioned. Yes, I am old-fashioned. Here at the back, you might be thinking that, yeah, I get what's going on here. These are going to be the indicators and these are your tail lights. Well, actually, no. Hyundai like to mess with your head. Turn on the lights. These are the tail lights. Quite cool. And these are the indicators or hazard lights. But there is one slight problem. Hit the brakes. I mean, how bright is that? People behind will have no doubt that you are slowing down. In fact, it might scare them with that. Now, one thing I should point out is depending on which version of the Insta you go for, you can have slightly different bumper design. So this being the 2 has this bumper design, but there's a range stopping version called the Cross, which has a more rugged look to it. Now, in terms of pricing, the entry-level Insta starts from £23,500. This level 2 with the larger battery and bigger motor is around £27,000, and the very range stopping car will cost from just under £30,000. So, does this feel more expensive on the inside? Let's find out. In some ways, there's a hint of the 1990s about this car. I don't know if it's just the extensive use of brittle plastics and the way some things look. Just no damping on that. Don't feel particularly expensive. Doesn't wobble though, and other things you touch, like the steering wheel, feel nice, as do the stalks. Nicely damp those. I also like the fact that the gear selector is there as well, rather than being here, because it's just easier to use when you're manoeuvring backwards and forwards, just turning that switch like that. And you know what? I actually think this interior design is quite interesting. I like the two-tone effect. I also like the fact that you've got some physical buttons for the climate control. So that's a good thing that they've incorporated from the 1990s. And it's all very easy to use, so you can just change your temperature and fan speed very easily. And then you've got modern tech. We've got this big infotainment screen and it's easy to use. You've got some shortcut buttons down here if you want to just quickly go through the different settings, or of course you can use the touchscreen if you want to, and you can just whip through the different menus and stuff like that. It's not the quickest system, look, it's a bit laggy, but I'm just going to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and they're both wireless. And then you have some other tech, like here on the digital driver's display. This particular car, if you see here, you'll notice that it's got the special cameras, like the blind spot camera, so when I hit the indicator like that, it will display what's in my blind spot. And I have to say, look at this. The surround view camera is fitted to this car. It's such high def. Look, it's like they've got the screen from the very latest Samsung phones. Really, really good. Come on, let's do the full 360 and have a look around it. Shame it doesn't match the colour of our car, which is black. Though you can see that it would look better, wouldn't it, in that sort of cream. Anyhow, the overall layout is nice and easy to use. I love this armrest here, though it is quite thin, so you might end up fighting a passenger for it. I do like the patterning on the seats. You can have it in black if you don't like this, but I really do like this colour. And I also like the fact they feel like a bench seat with these two cup holders between you. And the cup holders here can hold larger bottles, such as that. Oh, well, there's an issue. No, it's the smaller cup holder. Look, yeah, bit of a problem, but it's not a major deal. And I like the fact there's a place to keep your key. Other things to note are you've got some storage in there, and depending on which model you go for, you can have wireless charging in there. There's some more storage down there. There's some storage on here where you can put stuff. Go on, can you fit a bottle there? Yeah, that'll wedge in there. And you've got your USB-C there, your old school 12-volt socket. You've got your USB normal old-fashioned there. And as for the door bins, I don't think I can even fit this in it. Maybe I can. No, look, those door bins are rather pointless. Another thing I've noticed is this. This car has among the loudest electric windows of anything I've ever driven. It's like some kind of alien spacecraft landing. It's a bit bizarre because the electric windows on Hyundai's new Santa Fe are just super quiet. So they can do it if they want to. Now, this particular car has the optional sunroof, which you'll only get on the range topping version of this vehicle. And look, you can open it, which is always nice. Another option fitted to this particular car is the 240 power outlet there, which is handy if you want to plug your microwave into the car. What's less nice are these things like just dangling from the headlining. These are all your sensors and stuff like that, but they could have like covered them up in some kind of pod. Also, this has got to be the widest rearview mirror I have ever seen. Look how wide that is. But it does give you a good view out the back window, so I shouldn't really complain. Also, these are some of the biggest sun visors I've ever seen, and one of the biggest vanity mirrors. Where's the light? It's there. Don't worry, when you put it up like that, it automatically flicks the switch off. I can't complain about the seating position either, so there's plenty of adjustment in it. I love the way this part moves as well, and there's enough adjustment in the steering wheel. Where are you? There. Speaking of which, a lot of your functions are controlled here through the steering wheel, like so you can just slide through all your different menus, so on and so forth, and your different screens on there and on there. And you've got your cruise control system on there as well. It's standard on every single model. Plus your drive mode is there. And while you have 4 different modes which can alter the car's throttle response, really most of the time you're just going to drive it in normal. That's how I'm going to drive it. No point bothering with the others. Maybe snow if it's snowing, because it will just kind of help you get moving in low grip conditions. Anyway, while it feels nice and spacious here in the front, what is this car like in the back seats? Unfortunately, space in the back of the Insta is rather tight. Look, knee room is even worse than in the Renault 5. And if you want to see my Fortnite video review of that car, then click on the pop-out banner up there or scan the QR code on screen now using your mobile phone if you're watching on a smart TV. Actually, I'm joking, because watch this. Hell yeah. And then this. That's amazing. It's like a limousine. I mean, it helps you've got this flat floor, so there's plenty of space for your feet. And look, I can even put my foot over there. This is so comfortable. Wow. Unfortunately, these sliding reclining seats aren't available on the entry-level car, so I think this is reason alone to step up to the Grade 2 version, which is what this car is. Let me just check one more thing. Look, rear windows go all the way down. I'm loving it in the back of this. Also, you see these panels here with like these like big headed screws. Apparently you can remove these panels and put different coloured ones there, or fit storage units, which you might need, because look, once again, door bins in the back are rubbish and there's no storage on the seat backs. So if you look at this bit here, you can apparently fit some other bits and pieces to the back of this car. I think you can actually fit a picnic table. I wonder if you can get one for the driver. Probably can. I'm not sure. More will be revealed later. This is actually a pre-production car, so it hasn't got all the bits and pieces fitted to it, but wow. Look at this. Oh, and of course, look, you've got your ISOFIX anchor points in there, look. One thing to note, though, is that this car is a strict 2-seater in the back. You can't fit 3 in the back at once. Anyway, let's check out the boot, because I think I've just ruined boot capacity by pushing these seats all the way back. So, with the seats pushed back, the boot capacity is 240 litres, which isn't loads, and that does include this space under here, which is perfect for keeping your charging cable. However, James, can you do us a favour and just slide the seats forward, because if you put the seats in their upright position and then we push them forwards like that, the boot capacity then becomes 350 litres. Look at that. That's really quite spacious. Now, if you have the car without the sliding seats, the boot capacity is 280 litres. What I'm going to do now, though, is just fold the seats down show you how easy it is. I'll just take these out so they don't snag on the seat in front. Snap them into place, and look, then we have a nice flat load bay, and you can see that you have these little covers here which hide that little gap there, so when you're pushing things to the front they don't slide down there. Also, probably notice there's not much of a load lip either, so it's quite practical. But is there some more storage up front? After all, this is an electric car. Let's have a look. Oh no, there is no storage space under there. Anyway, that does bring me on to the different motor and battery choices available on this car. So rather than me tell you, here's some graphics to do the work for me. First thing I'm noticing while driving this car is the fact that you get a little bit of wind noise from this, and over rougher surfaces you do notice some tyre noise as well. Maybe it could do with a little bit more sound insulation. Like even on this slightly smoother surface I'm still getting quite a bit of road noise. It's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, it's just there. In terms of the suspension, it sort of has a nice softy feel to it, but occasionally when you hit some kind of like rougher bumps in the road and stuff like that, or smaller imperfections, you can feel it just like jiggle a bit. I think that's because at the rear it has quite an unsophisticated torsion beam suspension rather than an independent setup. That means that some of the jolts do get transmitted through into the cabin a little bit more, so you feel them through your bottom. But other than that, my bottom is fine in this car. The seats are quite nice, they don't really hug you, but they're comfy to sit on. Visibility is good. Beautiful view forward, huge windscreen, relatively low dash, square corners to the car. View at the back window is good as well, huge door mirrors. These create a bit of a blind spot, but it's not terrible. And when you look out over your shoulder, the back windows are big, but there is a blind spot in the rear quarters of the car, so when you're pulling out like filter junctions, they do block your view somewhat, which is a shame. Doesn't matter though if you have the top of the range car, because then you have this feature here where when you put the indicator on you can see in your blind spot, so that's a reason to get the top spec car. The other models don't have that, and it's a great feature to tell you the truth. Tell you what's also a great feature, Hyundai know how to make an electric car efficient. This vehicle is supposed to do around 220 or so miles on a full charge. This one is actually averaging 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. And when I do the maths, that means on a full battery, because you've got 49 kilowatt hour battery on this car, you're going to get about 190 or so miles, which is about 86% of the claimed range, which is actually pretty impressive. Tell you what's also impressive, the cruise control. So I've got the automatic cruise control on, it's going to steer to keep me in lane, it'll keep me a safe distance to the car in front, and I don't really have to do anything, it'll just do it all for me. Look. Got to keep your hands on the steering wheel though, otherwise it'll get cross and turn off. But look, it just takes the strain out of driving. It's great you get it as standard, and it works really well, as you can see. So as well as keeping me a safe distance to the car in front, when it needs to slow down, it's obviously going to be recouping that energy and putting it back in the battery to maximise the range. Right aboard of that, I want to drive it. Just turn it off, hit the brake. That's the way to do it. Turn that off, get rid of the steering. Now let's just check out the handling around this roundabout. So there's a bit of lean as you go around a bend. It's not terrible though. And when you put your foot down coming out of the bend, you notice there's enough performance for you to lose your walkie-talkie. But I did feel that when I was accelerating out of that roundabout, I could sense the tyres starting to struggle for grip. It's a problem with it being front-wheel drive rather than rear-wheel drive like an MG4. And the steering is reasonably responsive. Doesn't have much feel to it, but who cares? And this will go down a twisty road as quick as you need it to without getting in too much of a flap. One thing I have noticed though, the brakes do feel a little bit overly sensitive when you first press them. That's probably the regen effect. When you just come off the accelerator, touch the brakes, yeah, a little bit grabby, not terrible, you will get used to it, it's not much of a problem. After that initial sharp bite though, they do feel quite progressive and strong. And of course if you want to, you can use that one pedal drive, and it really does slow the car quite considerably when you just lift off the accelerator. So I'm going to do that now to go into this turning. Look, I'm not going to touch the brakes at all. That's all regen effect. And now as I'm going slowly, I'm actually appreciating the really light steering, which makes it very easy to drive this at slower speeds. I do wish more car manufacturers would use one pedal drive. It just gives you so much more control. Speaking of which, I'm going to do a U-turn. So the turning circle on this car is 10.6 meters, which is the same as a Citroen EC3. Now I've got a car behind me. Let's see if I can cause chaos. I'm not going to make it around here. Oh, I'm going to go up the curb. Right, I'm not going to go up the curb. I'm going to just have to reverse. There we go. Gosh, those cameras are insanely good. Now on this particular surface, the road noise isn't as bad. I'm just getting the wind whistle from here now. I wish all our roads were like this. Fortunately they're not. But overall, I think this is a very easy, relaxing car to drive. just goes about its business. Inobtrusive. It's easy. It's relaxing. That's all you need. So I'm going to go into auto regen mode. So if I get too close to the car in front, it will increase the regen effect. But then as I drop back, it will go into coast mode. And so that's really good, allowing the car to maximize its efficiency, even if you tend to drive a little bit poorly and inconsistently. Here we go. Look, once again, getting too close to the car in front. I'm lifting off. It's going to manage the regen. And as I drop back, it's going to go more towards coast. There we go. Once again, why don't all other electric cars have this feature? Just makes so much sense. There we go, look, car's turning in, auto regenning now. Perfect. I am going to follow it. Will it bring it to a complete stop? Oh yes. Look at that, does the job. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Hyundai Insta? Should you avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist it. It really is quite cool and quirky, but it does have a few faults, and a Citroen C3 is more affordable. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like. If you want some other videos, click on the video windows. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.